Ever feel like your morning coffee costs a bit more than it should, or that the lumber for your weekend reno project suddenly jumped in price? You might think it's just inflation, but sometimes there's a hidden hand at play: tariffs. And when those tariffs target our neighbors to the south, things can get a little complicated, eh? We're not talking about just any tariffs, but the kind that raise eyebrows and spark debates, specifically when the U.S. slaps a hefty 25% tariff on Canadian imports, with one notable exception: energy. It's a move that seems counterintuitive, almost like ordering a double-double but asking for it black. Now, before you start picturing border blockades and trade wars, let's unpack this a little. These tariffs, they're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They ripple through our economy, affecting everything from the price of steel in Hamilton to the availability of certain goods in your local grocery store. And while the exemption for energy might seem like a win for Alberta, it also raises a whole bunch of questions about strategic interests, political maneuvering, and the very nature of our economic relationship with the United States. What's particularly interesting here is the selective nature of these tariffs. Why target certain sectors while giving others a free pass? Is it a calculated strategy to protect American industries, a negotiating tactic, or something else entirely? And what does it mean for Canadian businesses that are caught in the crossfire? These aren't just abstract economic concepts. They're real-world challenges that affect the livelihoods of Canadians from coast to coast. Think about it. A 25% tariff can be a game-changer for companies that rely on exporting goods to the U.S. Suddenly, their products become significantly more expensive, making them less competitive. This can lead to job losses, reduced investment, and a general sense of uncertainty. On the other hand, the exemption for energy suggests that the U.S. still needs Canadian oil and gas, despite all the talk about energy independence. It's a delicate, balancing act, and one that requires a closer look at the underlying factors that drive these decisions. So, let's dive deeper, shall we? We'll explore the history of these tariffs, the reasons behind them, and the potential consequences for both Canada and the United States. We'll also examine the role of politics, trade agreements, and the ever-evolving economic landscape in shaping these policies. And who knows, maybe we'll even uncover some surprising truths about the complex relationship between our two countries. Grab a Nanaimo bar, settle in, and let's get to the bottom of this tariff situation, eh? It's going to be a bumpy ride, but hopefully we'll come out of it with a better understanding of the forces that shape our world. Ben voyons donc. Pour vraiment saisir le pourquoi du comment de ces tarifs, faut remonter un brin dans le temps. Puis, regardez comment nos relations commerciales avec les États-Unis se sont bâties, brique par brique. On parle pas juste d'hier, là. Pensez à l'accord de libre-échange canado-américain, signé en 88, puis après, l'ALENA, qui a rajouté le Mexique dans le mix. Ces accords-là s'étaient supposés enlever les barrières commerciales, puis faire rouler le commerce comme un char, sur l'autoroute. Mais, t'essaies, la politique, c'est comme une game de hockey, ça change vite, puis il y a toujours des revirements. L'arrivée de Trump au pouvoir, ça a été un de ces revirements-là. Son slogan « America First », c'était pas juste des mots en l'air. C'était une façon de repenser les accords commerciaux, puis de mettre la pression sur nos partenaires, nous, autres inclus. Puis c'est là que les tarifs sur l'acier puis l'aluminium sont arrivés, comme un coup de bâton en plein milieu de la patinoire. Faut comprendre aussi que le protectionnisme, c'est pas nouveau. C'est une vieille idée qui dit que, pour protéger les industries locales, faut mettre des taxes sur les produits qui viennent de l'étranger. C'est un peu comme construire un mur autour de son jardin pour empêcher les chevreuils de manger les fleurs. Sauf que dans le monde du commerce, les murs, ça peut aussi empêcher les bonnes choses de rentrer, comme les innovations, les idées, puis la compétition qui pousse tout le monde à s'améliorer. Maintenant, imaginez-vous être un fabricant de pièces d'auto en Ontario. Vous vendez la moitié de votre production aux États-Unis. Du jour au lendemain, votre prix augmente de 25% à cause des tarifs. Ben, c'est pas le fun pantoute. Vous devez peut-être couper des postes, réduire vos investissements, puis vous demander si vous allez pouvoir survivre. C'est ça la réalité. Pour beaucoup d'entreprises canadiennes, Cela dit, l'histoire des relations commerciales entre le Canada puis les États-Unis, c'est pas juste une histoire de tarifs puis de chicanes. C'est aussi une histoire de collaboration, d'interdépendance, puis de valeurs partagées. On est voisins, on est amis, puis on a besoin l'un de l'autre. C'est pour ça que même quand il y a des tensions, il y a toujours des efforts pour trouver des solutions, pour négocier, puis pour maintenir une relation qui est essentielle pour les deux pays. C'est comme un vieux couple qui se chicane de temps en temps, mais qui sait qu'au fond, ils sont mieux ensemble. Puis c'est ça qui fait qu'on continue de se parler, de se chicaner, puis de se réconcilier, année après année. Right, so, after chewing the fat on all this, eh? After picking apart the complexities of tariffs and trade, and seeing how these policies kind of snake their way through our lives, it's got you thinking, hasn't it? We've seen how something that seems like a simple tax on imported goods can ripple outwards, touching everything from the price of your groceries to the job security of your neighbor down the street. It's like dropping a pebble into a still lake. The initial splash is small, but the waves spread far and wide. Now, we're not just talking about economics here, are we? There's a whole whack of political maneuvering, strategic considerations, and maybe even a bit of good old-fashioned horse trading going on behind the scenes. It's like watching a chess match where each move is carefully calculated and the ultimate goal is to outsmart your opponent. But in this game, the stakes are a bit higher than just bragging rights. We're talking about jobs, industries, and the overall prosperity of our country. And let's be honest, eh? This whole tariff situation, it's not exactly black and white. There are arguments to be made on both sides. Some folks will tell you that tariffs are necessary to protect our industries and create jobs here at home. Others will argue that they stifle competition, raise prices, and ultimately hurt consumers. It's a bit like debating whether to put ketchup on your poutine. Everyone's got an opinion, and nobody's quite willing to back down. But what's clear is that these decisions have real-world consequences. They affect the businesses that are trying to compete in a global market, the workers who rely on those businesses for their livelihoods, and the consumers who ultimately foot the bill. It's a complex web of interconnected interests, and untangling it is no easy feat. So, where does that leave us, eh? Well, it leaves us with a deeper appreciation for the complexities of international trade and a healthy dose of skepticism towards anyone who tries to oversimplify the issue. It leaves us wondering about the future of our relationship with the United States and the role that Canada will play in a rapidly changing global economy. It's like standing at a crossroads, with multiple paths stretching out before us, each leading to a different destination. Which path will we choose? And what will be the consequences of our choices? That, my friends, is the question we need to keep asking ourselves. As we mosey on towards the final thought, keep pondering on this. How do we balance the need to protect our own interests with the desire to foster a strong and mutually beneficial trading relationship with our closest neighbor? It's a tough question, eh? But it's one that we need to grapple with if we want to build a prosperous and sustainable future for Canada. So, after all that jawing, where does it leave us, eh? Not with all the answers neatly tied up with a bow, that's for sure. Life, especially when it comes to trade and politics, rarely hands you those kind of tidy conclusions. Instead, we're left with a bit of a head-scratcher, a sense that things are always a little more complicated than they seem. At first glance, it's like trying to unravel a tangled fishing line. You pull one way, and another knot just tightens up. But maybe that's the point, eh? Maybe the real takeaway here isn't about finding some simple solution to the tariff tango, but about understanding the dance itself. It's about recognizing that these economic policies, these trade agreements, they're not just abstract concepts floating around in some ivory tower. They're real-world forces that shape our lives, that affect our communities, that determine whether the local mill keeps humming or falls silent. And that's worth paying attention to. Thinking about these tariffs, it kind of makes you realize how interconnected we all are, doesn't it? Canada and the U.S., we're like two old friends who've been through thick and thin together. We might have our disagreements, we might bicker and squabble from time to time, but at the end of the day, we're stuck with each other. our economies are intertwined, our cultures are intertwined, and our fates are intertwined. We gotta figure out how to make it work, even when things get a little testy. And that's not just true for Canada and the US, eh? It's true for all of us. In every aspect of our lives, we're all part of a bigger picture, a global community where our actions have consequences, where our choices ripple outwards and affect others. Whether we're talking about trade, climate change, or social justice, we gotta start thinking about the bigger picture, about how we can work together to build a better world for everyone. So, next time you're sipping your Timmy's or stocking up on maple syrup, take a moment to think about where those things come from, about the people who make them, and about the complex web of relationships that connect us all. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the world in a whole new light. The true practice, as they say, begins now. It's not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions, about staying curious, and about never losing sight of the fact that we're all in this together, eh?